Welcome to Life Dynamix TV. I'm Stephen Lawrence Ferrel. Life Dynamix is a dynamic mix of life enhancement strategies for dynamic living. On today's episode, we will feature an introduction into the science of bioenergetic medicine. Our host, Nafeesa, will share her time with bioenergetic medical specialist Donese Worden. Throughout the show, you will also hear from other wellness experts who will share with you tips and information on how to increase energy, fat metabolism, and well-being. So join us for a new episode of Life Dynamix TV, the new science of energetic living.
If you're like me, health and wellness is very important to you, but I don't like to take a lot of medicine. So that's why we are going to talk to Dr. Donese Worden, who's going to talk to us about bioenergetic medicine.
Right. I consider it the wave of the future of medicine. I do. I think we'll stop using so much surgery and so many pharmaceuticals, and we'll start looking into how do we tap into the body's innate ability to heal itself.
That's awesome.
So that's bioenergetic medicine is kind of a large term, but it can span from anywhere from a high-tech cold laser, where we put specific frequencies into your body, into specific tissues to heal them, all the way through therapeutic touch from a practitioner's hand.
See, what I love about that, like I said, I don't like to take a lot of medicine, and I know when you go into your local pharmacy, you go in because you have a little sniffle, and they have 15 things for sniffling, they have 15 things for watery eyes, they have 15 things for that dry cough, and you just don't want to poison yourself that way. I think it's very toxic. I mean, am I right? Or?
You're exactly right, and our whole system in Western medicine is set on Newtonian science, and that means Newton thought everything's very mechanistic, and that we're just a collection of chemicals and molecules, and everything runs biochemically, and that's all we are. Einstein disproved that. 50 years ago, quantum physics came on board, and quantum physics is explaining to us that we're much more than that we are a kind of a lattice work of subtle energies, and those energies around us, both electrical and magnetic, and many other kinds of energies, is what we are. That's what drives the biochemistry. That's what makes the nutraceuticals and the pharmaceuticals and everything else we put into our body try to work.
Now, one of the things that I find so interesting is that, I'm not a doctor by any means, but I have studied just a little bit about the human body, because I think it's so incredible how your body will fix itself, and you're feeling a little left of center, and your body will release some kind of chemical on its own or do some kind of process to bring you back and center you and make you healthy again.
That's right.
And so that's what you're focusing on doing, is helping your body do those processes.
That's right. The world's perfect pharmacy is your body. You make the correct amount of hormones and chemicals and neurotransmitters, painkillers, everything. Far stronger than anything we have in the pharmaceutical world. You make them in the proper dosage, in the right amount, at the right time for your body, if you have your spiritual and emotional self set.
Right.
If not, that's where the energy medicines come in, because those are the most important healing aspects that we have. Everything that we do on a physical level is just kind of playing around. We do our best with the medicines that we have, and even with herbs, with supplements, it's all, we're doing our best. And a lot of it is masking symptoms and not taking care of the root of the problem. The root of the problem many times goes back to energy problems in emotional problems, old traumas that have not been taken care of.
Right. I agree, because that's something that you hold it inside, and it has to come out some kind of way. And if you're going to pretend like it isn't there, then your body's going to
show.
Right, exactly. It's going to shift something in you that's going to make it go awry, just to call your attention to it, I think. Right. And now, we were talking earlier about color, how you use that to really fix your emotional self and get that online so that your physical self will be able to heal itself.
Right. Color's been used for a long time. In fact, bioenergetic medicine, if we go back to the roots, started in Egypt. They built their pyramids and healing temples where if you had a certain disease state, you were told to stand at a certain time of day in this facility where the light would refract and come through a hole, and it would hit you at a certain place, create a frequency, and make changes in the body. This kind of medicine is ancient. However, it's getting a new resurgence because now we finally have the technology to be able to measure these things and say, that's not woo-woo medicine. You know what? We really do emit frequencies. We can know that your heart resonates at a certain frequency. Your liver is different. Every cell, tissue, and organism in your body resonates at a specific frequency.
I love that.
And when we add that back in, the proper frequency, the body knows what to do.
Right.
It's far smarter than any doctor or medicine out there.
Right.
It knows what it needs. So we get rid of the things it doesn't need, toxins and environmental problems, and emotional especially, and give it what it needs, and it knows what to do.
Right. Okay, well, we're going to talk about those frequencies, and also I know there's got to be some research on how to develop those frequencies, what we need, what we don't need, and how to know how to feed your body what it needs. And we're going to talk about that in just 1 second.
I'm Jamie with Life Dynamix. I'm here today with Carrie to see what kind of questions she has for our experts. Hi, is diet soda good for you?
All soda pop is junk food. Diet pop is especially problematic because the aspartame or artificial sweeteners that are used in making diet pop are made of amino acids which in our metabolism break down into 3 toxic metabolites. One is aspartic acid, which is a neurotransmitter in the primarily in the NMDA, which are pain receptors of the brain. The second is methanol, which is known as wood alcohol. This breaks further down into formaldehyde, which is very toxic and a carcinogen. The third metabolite, and the warning is on the package if you're talking about the artificial sweetener or the soda pop, is phenylalanine, and that's probably the least toxic of the 3 metabolites, unfortunately. 5% of the population cannot tolerate this particular amino acid, and probably about 20% of the population have a relative intolerance to the phenylalanine. So the answer is very clear to me. Diet soda is not good for you.
Hi, my name is Kendra Kessel, and I'm a fitness expert here with Life Dynamix. We're all used to doing curls and lunges. Today I'm going to show you a time saver where you can do them at the same time. To get started, your palms are going to be facing out, ready to do a curl, and you're going to step out. While you're stepping, you're going to curl with your arms, and then go back to the first position. You're going to change legs, do the exact same thing. Some key points to make note of are, first of all, that your abdominals and lower back are very tight, your posture is good, and your knee is not going over your toe. When you're doing this exercise, you're engaging all of your leg muscles, your abdominal muscles and core, and your biceps. That's all for now. Once again, I'm Kendra Kessel here with Life Dynamix.
Hi, this is Silver Rose, and I'm bringing you key number 1 to 7 keys to passionate self-care. Key number 1 is focus on what you want. There's something in the universe called the law of attraction, and the law of attraction says you attract more of what you focus on. Most people know that, but they don't know how to do it. Now, I taught this to my teenage foster children, and you know, kids get it much quicker than we adults do. So one day, we were driving down the street, and I was late, and my kids were in the car, and I was driving and saying, "No red light, no red light, no red lights." And my kids looked at me with a little bit of disdain and said, "Mom, it's green light, green light, green light." See, they had already adopted what I had taught them, which is that you attract what you focus on, and they knew that I was focusing on something that I did not want. So the key is to focus on what you want. Now, how you know whether you're on the right track or not is that we all have something called emotional messengers. And our emotional messengers are something we were born with to tell us whether we're on the right track or not. See, whether we're on the right track doesn't come through your thoughts because we have too many thoughts whizzing through our brain at any given moment. So what we were sent is a guidance system that guides us through our emotions. And there's really only 2 emotions. We call them all different things, but we have positive emotions and negative emotions. Now, when you're feeling really good about something, when you're sort of in the zone, your inner guidance system is saying to you, you know what, you're on the right track, keep going. When you're feeling negative emotions, frustration, anger, whatever it happens to be, it's your inner guidance system saying, if you stay focused on where you're focused, you are not going to like what you get. So how you set your magnets to attract what you want is that you pay attention to what you want. So instead of paying attention to the red lights, I needed to pay attention to green lights and envision that, and that's when it started to happen for me. I started getting a lot of green lights. So it's really simple, and the most profound lessons in life really are simple. Focus on what you want, and if the only thing that you do after you hear this is to get happy and stay there, then you're well on your way to passionate self-care. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to another episode of Cooking in the Garden of Eating. What I'm going to do today is show you how to have your chocolate and eat it too. We're going to make a healthy chocolate indulgence, dark chocolate dipped dates. Let me show you what we'll be making today. We'll be making these wonderful healthy treats that look just like chocolate confections, but they're made without any sugar or refined ingredients. So for starters, for this recipe, what you need to do is buy 4 ounces, at least 4 ounces of unsweetened baker's chocolate. You can use Hershey's Baker's chocolate from the supermarket, you can use Baker's unsweetened chocolate, or you can splurge and buy Scharfenberger Gourmet unsweetened baker's chocolate. Another in-between choice is Ghirardelli unsweetened baker's chocolate. Now all the sweetness in this recipe will come from the dates. So what we're going to use today is unsweetened plain date coconut rolls. And these date coconut rolls you can buy at health food stores, natural foods co-ops, places like that around town wherever you live. These are just dates that have been pitted and put through a grinder twice, so they're very soft and squishy, and they're rolled in coconut. And what we're going to do is take each one of these date pieces and cut it in half and make 2 squares. And if you like, you could actually roll them into little balls if you want little round confections. That works as well. Or you can just shape them evenly into little squares. Now what we're going to do is melt the unsweetened baker's chocolate. So when you open up the baker's chocolate, just break the pieces in half. Or if they're thin pieces of unsweetened baker's chocolate, you can just break them into irregular pieces. You want to make sure to heat the chocolate over a very low heat. If you're using an electric stove, use the lowest setting or the second to lowest setting. So we're just going to melt the unsweetened chocolate, and while it's melting, you can be preparing the date pieces. So you need 10 ounces of date coconut rolls and as much as 12 ounces. It depends on how large the pieces are. So 10 to 12 ounces of date coconut rolls and 4 ounces of unsweetened baker's chocolate to make this. So each date piece you're going to roll into a ball or make into little squares. And then we need a little bit of chopped toasted nuts or whole nut pieces. You could use toasted almonds, pecans, walnuts, even pistachios or pine nuts. So you need about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of toasted nuts, or up to a cup of shredded sulfite-free coconut. And this will be used to garnish the date pieces after they've been dipped in the chocolate. So the next step is to watch the chocolate, make sure it doesn't burn. So use a low heat and just tilt the pan or stir it to get the chocolate to melt evenly. So the next step will be to dip each one of these pieces in the melted unsweetened chocolate, and then we'll add nuts for a garnish.
Most people don't realize it, but when you get enough sleep at night, it changes a great deal about the quality of your life. It helps you concentrate better. It helps a person be able to function better in life. It also improves your sex drive, if that's important to many people. And in addition to feeling better, you're able to concentrate better. And people that sleep at least 7 to 8 hours a night live 10 years longer than people that don't get enough sleep, namely 5 to 6 hours of sleep per night.
Okay, the chocolate is almost melted. So you can give it a stir. Make sure that you use a dry spoon. Don't use a wet spoon, and don't use a wooden spoon because that could contain moisture. So just give it a little stir. As soon as the chocolate's melted, we'll start dipping the date pieces in. So what you can do is set all the date pieces on parchment paper or wax paper so that it will be easy to clean up once you're done. If you want to economize, you can actually use the little parchment paper pieces or the foil wrappings that were used to cover the chocolate. So when you open your unsweetened baker's chocolate, save the little papers, and you can set them out on a cookie sheet or on a platter to line it, and then you can put the date pieces on top after they've been dipped in chocolate. So it only takes 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes to melt the chocolate. Stay close by, again, so it doesn't burn. And you can actually pull the chocolate off the heat or turn off the heat before the chocolate is completely melted. When it's almost all the way melted, you can go ahead and turn it off, and the residual heat will be enough to melt the chocolate. Now what we're going to do is start dipping the halved date coconut rolls in the chocolate, and then we'll turn them to coat. And it's a really simple process. You want 2 teaspoons ready, and just dip each piece in the chocolate and turn it to coat. And then you can put it on the parchment. Now, some brands of date coconut rolls have almonds on top. The ones we're working with today already have almonds on top. Many stores sell the date coconut rolls without any nuts on them. And if you don't like almonds or you're allergic to them, buy the plain date coconut rolls, and then you can put whatever you want as a topping on. Either a different type of nut, or you can use coconut. And you can put 5, 6, 7, even 10 pieces of the dates in the pan at one time. You don't need to put them in one at a time. So we'll put these in here and then just turn each one to coat. It's great for people who avoid dairy products. Unlike milk chocolate, there's no milk products in this chocolate. It's just unsweetened baker's chocolate and dates and whatever kind of nuts you want, or coconut. If you use coconut, make sure to buy unsweetened coconut milk. You'll have to go to a natural food store or a natural foods co-op to find the unsweetened coconut, because the supermarkets only sell the sugared coconut. So as you can see, I'm just arranging these chocolate dip date pieces on the parchment and leave a little bit of space in between so they won't stick together. And if you want variety, you could use different nuts and different toppings to add a little bit of interest. The dates that I have on this plate that are already made, I have some with cashews, some with walnuts, and some with coconut. So you can vary that. Now, if you are taking them somewhere and you'll be in the car and it's warm weather, make sure you pack them in a cooler or some other container with ice to keep them from melting. In the refrigerator, they'll easily keep for a month if you're lucky, but you might find that you use them up much sooner than that. They would keep for months in the freezer if you didn't have occasion to eat them sooner. Chocolate is rich in antioxidants, and there's research showing that that's really important for slowing down the aging process and helping protect our bodies against disease. So by combining chocolate with dates, we avoid the hazards of refined sugar, but we still get all the benefits of the chocolate. And now what we'll do is garnish. You could put half a pecan on top, or you could put a crumbled piece of pecan or a couple of crumbled pieces, or if you like, you can sprinkle nuts on top, like so. If you want coconut, you can either use fine flaked coconut or you can use larger pieces of flaked coconut. Now we put this in the freezer and take it out when they're firm and they're ready to serve. These are dark chocolate dipped dates, just what you need to satisfy that sweet tooth desire in a healthy way. And this is from the Garden of Eating.
We are in luck. Donese is still here with us. And Donese, the burning question of the day, what is an EMF frequency?
Electromagnetic frequencies. And I think where we've mostly heard about it is the people worried about power lines and microwaves and what are these doing to us. The honest truth is, with the research that we have, we don't have as many generations to look at it that we need. In other words, we haven't lived long enough to really know what these exposures are doing to us. There are a lot of studies and a lot of things that have done that are giving us preliminary information to say many of them may be very harmful. For example, in Sweden, their governmental limit on microwave radiation, what's allowed, is 1,000 times less than ours of what we are allowed to emit in this country. Power lines are beyond 60 hertz, which we know can down-regulate cellular mechanisms and can actually promote cancer growth. So, you know, we don't have, the studies are not conclusive enough at this time, but we do have enough information to say, and the government's recommendation is to minimize exposure, whatever that means.
Well, I mean, and I think, you know, if you're kind of on the fence about bioenergetic medicine and what that can mean for you, I mean, we know for certain that if there's a power line in your backyard, you're not feeling so hot all the time.
That's right.
What other proof do you need?
Right. And that is your best gauge, that's your best monitor, is how is my body feeling? How do I feel in a full spectrum light compared to a fluorescent light? You can feel it. What do we have in our workplaces now? In the schools with our children and everything, we have fluorescent lights. It's this much of the spectrum. In fact, it's the part of the spectrum that's most harmful to our tissues. And it affects our endocrine system, which means our hormones are off. It causes depression and many other things.
So now, if EMF frequencies are something we should avoid, I mean, are there frequencies we should be looking for? Are there frequencies that are healthy for us? Or
a lot of frequencies that are healthy for us. And just a basic is that our bodies, the frequencies that we vibrate at, every tissue in us and every cell is within the light spectrum. We are literally beings of light. And within that spectrum of, you know, you go from ultraviolet to radiation, it's this long spectrum. We are light beings. And those frequencies are what we use, for example, with the cold laser. If you have a bone fracture, we can heal that in 40% of the time with a stronger bone when you're finished. We put in 45 hertz and 20 hertz. That's specific to bone cells. When we need to work on a specific tissue, there's a specific frequency that we put in. And one of the most interesting, if you want to say maybe the most beneficial, 7.8 hertz. Now, where did that come from? 7.8, yeah. The Earth's magnetic field, the field that the Earth produces itself, it is at 7.8. And 7.8 hertz is what is emitted from a practitioner's hand when they're in a healing state. When you talk about Qigong and Reiki and all these healing practitioners that heal with their hands. You know, they went and tried to disprove this, and they said, all right, people, this is placebo effect. They're saying they're in a meditation state and they're healing people and people are getting better, but it must just be in their mind. What they found was what was emitted from the palms of the practitioners when they were in a meditation state where they could resonate with the Earth's magnetic field and translate that to you was around, it was between 7.8 and 8 hertz. So we are very much connected to the Earth, to every molecule around us, to the universe, to the stars. We're all made out of light. Energy is frozen light. That's what it is, and that's been proven in quantum physics by the latest studies that we have.
Now, you know, when I was little, my mom always told me to put my bed in a way that I'd be sleeping north-south.
Very good. Right.
Is there really something to that?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Magnetic north means something to our bodies. And, you know, you ask people, especially they have arthritis and so forth, they can tell, just like animals can tell when a storm is coming in. That has to do with what's called the Schumann resonance. Lightning anywhere in the world creates this magnetic effect, the 7.8 hertz that we resonate with. Whenever there are disturbances in that magnetic field, we're not getting our boost of 7.8, and we feel it. We feel bad, and any ailment in the body is going to feel worse and get worse.
So then, what do you think, what are the top 3 things you can do that'll make, it'll make your body, more comfortable or more able to fix itself or to be healthy, to keep yourself in a healthy state?
We're back to the topic of the day, mind, body, and spirit.
Of course.
And I tell my patients that I will help them on a physical level. There are many natural, wonderful treatments that help on that level. However, unless they are emotionally and spiritually sound, I don't believe that they will ever come to a true state of health. We can get them where they're better. But I'm talking about true health, which means emotionally and spiritually. And spiritually, of course, is the highest. And all of those are subtle energies. It's all energy medicine.
All tied in together, which is what Life Dynamix is all about.
Right.
those three aspects of
That's right.
yourself, emotionally, mentally, and physically.
You have to have them all.
Of course, otherwise you're just not feeling very good.
That's right. And remember, the energies that are created at the spiritual and emotional level are what is driving the biochemistry in the body.
Right.
When we eat food, what we're doing is taking in energy. We're taking in light energy. When we take a supplement, we're taking in light energy. What drives that, what makes that go, is the light and the energies that are around us. Those fields make that, all of that work.
So then, now, if someone wanted to find out more about what, like putting their bed north-south, or, I mean, those type of things, where would you go? Because they don't all have my mom to tell them how to put their bed.
There are so many good books out right now. James Oshman, Energy Medicine, The Scientific Basis. He gives all the studies behind many of these fascinating things that we're starting to see about quantum physics. Is finally talking to medicine and seeing that these things really do work. Bohm, who is one of the Nobel laureates, has a major amount of research in bioenergetic medicine. In fact, some of our most recent Nobel laureates have gained their recognition because of their work in this field. Okay. Scientific community is all excited about it. It's there. It's readily accessible. We just need to do a better job with medicine and talk to the quantum physicist and learn more about ourselves.
Yes, I'm not going to talk to the quantum physicist, but I'm going to let you
just
tell
know you're
us.
a light being. Know that you are made of light. You are made of light.
All right, we're going to talk a little more about the center that you work at right here in Arizona when we come back from the break.
How prevalent are chemicals? Well, would you believe there are about 70,000 chemicals on the market today, and only about 7,000 have ever been checked by our government for safety. And these weren't checked, I might add, in infants and children and pregnant women. They were checked in healthy men. In 1972, there were 600 chemicals that were supposed to be rechecked. 40 years later, they've only checked 200. Maybe we should ask why.
I'm Jamie with Life Dynamix. I'm here today with Justin to see what kind of questions he has for our experts.
I'd like to know, with your caloric intake, does it really matter if you eat more fats, more proteins, or more carbs? As long as you have the right amount of total calories, does it really matter?
For optimal health, it is extremely important the ratio of carbohydrates to fats to protein, as is the type of foods we consume. We need a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of carbohydrates, and a certain amount of fats to optimally thrive. And I recommend approximately 60% of those calories coming from organic fruits and vegetables, which are healthy carbohydrate sources. Approximately 30% coming from healthy fat sources, such as nuts and seeds, and no more than 10% coming from protein sources. And the reasoning being is if you go over the 10% mark, your body starts to get acidic, and your body thrives in a slightly alkaline environment. Foods that help create a slightly alkaline environment are foods such as the fruits, nuts, vegetables, foods that are not processed, foods that really create an acidic environment that's not good for you are foods such as red meats, and dairy products also create an inflammatory response within the body, which is another thing that's not good for you. So try to get plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole foods, and you're going to feel so much better, and your body's going to love you for it.
People often ask for naturally occurring or perhaps holistic alternatives to manufactured medical products for anti-inflammatory agents. There has been some debate recently as to the safety of many of the anti-inflammatory agents. Willow bark, which is a compound from which aspirin is sometimes elaborated, is a naturally occurring salicylate, which can be found in various health food stores as an alternative to aspirin or salicylic acid. Surprisingly, in the Southwest, prickly pear extract was often used by the Native Americans both for treatment of stomach disorders and also as an anti-inflammatory agent for joint problems. An extract of the marine fir species of trees has been long used in Europe as an anti-inflammatory agent. It is known as pink noginol.
I was on a hike the other day, and two flowers caught my eye as I was hiking up this mountain, and one was pink and one was purple. And it was in the middle of nowhere and very unusual, so I stopped to look at them. And I bent down and was watching these two flowers, looking at these two flowers, and all of a sudden this little purple flower started shaking. And it had condensation or drips of water running down its stem. So I got down a little bit closer, and of course not expecting an answer, I said, "What's going on?" And this little purple flower looks up at me and says, "I can see in the reflection of your sunglasses that the flower next to me is pink, and I think it's prettier than I am. So I'm trying to be pink." And so it sat there trembling and sweating and trying and losing petals. And finally it gave up, and it was still purple. And it started sagging and was fatigued and sad. And a few minutes later, it propped itself up again and started to shake and sweat and try. And I said, "What are you doing now?" And it said, "Well, I can see in the reflection of your sunglasses that the flower next to me has more petals than I do. And so I'm trying to grow more." And so it tried, and of course it lost more petals in trying, and finally gave up, exhausted. The purple flower will never be pink. And if it keeps trying and losing petals, it will never have as many petals. What are you doing with your life? Who are you comparing yourself to and trying to become? And what are you losing in the process? Love you. Be who you are, and love who you are.
I know what you're thinking. Why did I pick this top? I'm wondering the exact same thing because you guys were making fun of me earlier. Now, we were talking about color. I'm wearing fuchsia. Tell me what this means.
Right. Well, it may have to do with how you're feeling at this moment and why you chose that color.
Okay.
It's a great color, by the way. Black is not a good color. What I'm wearing, it negates all of the frequencies that I could get from light. Not a good color. Yours is excellent. Pink, especially a hot pink or fuchsia, this color is kind of an interesting one because they actually use it in some prisons. They paint the walls this color because it takes these very aggressive behaviors and calms them down. If a depressed person wore this color, it could actually throw them into a deeper state of depression.
Oh.
So for someone who's aggressive and motivated, and especially the prisoners, they use this hot pink. So maybe, you know, some of our, Joe Arpaio is our sheriff that made these prisoners wear these hot pink. I wondered if he knew anything about that. He was calming them down, making them wear these pink boxers.
I actually got this at the mall. I didn't
Not
get
from
it
prison.
from prison at all.
No, but that's a good color. And sometimes we do choose the colors we're wearing because of the emotional state that we're in at the moment. Absolutely.
Now, you know, what's funny is that you were saying that black isn't really that good of a color, and you're feeling just slightly under the weather today.
That's right. And, you know, and I don't blame the virus, by the way. The head cold that I have, it's around me all the time. The only reason why it's expressing itself now is because I wasn't doing what I'm preaching.
Okay.
I wasn't taking enough time for self-meditation, doing the things that I need to do to take care of myself with a lot of stress at this point in my life. So I don't blame the virus at all, by the way. It's not its fault. It's my fault, and I know why.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that to yourself just to prove a point. I appreciate that. Now, I do notice, though, sometimes, you know, when I'm feeling a little sad, or, you know, if I just have a breakup, that suddenly, about, you know, within a week after that, then I get sick.
Absolutely.
Physically sick.
Absolutely. Well, the hormones, and that's been proven out in psychoneuroimmunology, is that when you have these negative thoughts or thoughts of self-doubt, all these things, we actually produce different chemicals in our brain. The brain chemistry changes. We produce different hormones, more of the stress hormones, less of the I feel good hormones. That changes our cells. We are more susceptible to anything that might come our way. Our terrain, we call it. What we are made of changes, and we can't withstand things that we normally could because we live with bacteria and viruses all the time.
Yeah.
It's not that all of a sudden there's this big bad germ that came my way and got me, and you know, there was nothing I could do about it.
Just
yes,
you're more
there
susceptible.
was. My terrain changed according to my emotional status. So meditation, we're back to what is the best way to heal yourself.
Right.
It's that spiritual connection and learning to quiet and calm yourself and get into a meditation state. It's very important.
Now, how would you suggest that you get into a meditation state?
Many different techniques. I mean, there's, again, a lot of sources out there that you can go to. Deepak Chopra, many that are making some wonderful CDs that I tell my patients. And first thing I do is teach them how to breathe. Most people don't breathe anymore. They hold their breath and they don't realize they are. And they breathe incorrectly from their chest and not from their diaphragm. They're literally not moving oxygen through their body. And when I teach them how to breathe, we can decrease their blood pressure right there in the office, sometimes 20, 30 points, just by breathing. So that proves to them this connection right away. And then we talk about time every day spent with self and learning how to quieten yourself on the inside.
I appreciate that, because I know I sometimes, you know, when you're going to sleep and you think, okay, this is my quiet time, I'm going to relax, but really what you're thinking is, I got to pick up my dry cleaning.
Exactly.
I forgot to, you know, drop the mail off at the, so it's really taking a break from all of that, right? And getting just in touch with yourself and just quiet.
Learning how to get to that still point, and that's very difficult for us, you know, especially in the West. We go to the moment we lay down, and our mind is still going 100 miles an hour. And that's what we're talking about. I mean, if you talk about in the Himalayas or some of the other cultures that live to 140 in good health, they meditate every day. They take care of themselves, sunlight, water, good food. We don't do that here, and I'm not sure that we're going to. Plus, our exposures of the frequencies that we're around are so toxic, but what we can do is quieten ourselves, because that healing that can go on is powerful. I've had stage 4 terminal cancer patients that have been these spontaneous healing that nobody understands what goes on. Well, yes, we do. Yes, we do. They lost their fear of death. They let go of all of their anger in their life toward everything and every situation that's ever happened. And when they do those two things, the body heals itself.
That's so interesting, because a lot of times people say, you know, when you're around negative people, they call them cancerous people, or you know, cancerous things. It's because it's just poisons or things you don't need to be around, things that make you just.
Well, it's actual frequencies. Your heartbeat and my heartbeat, because we've been sitting together for a little while now, are starting to entrain, beat at the same time. If we put pendulum clocks on the wall and started them all at different times, hundreds of them, they would in time entrain and start beating together. My frequencies change your frequencies. So if you're negative, you're going to down-regulate some of my good frequencies and make me feel bad. So that negative person you don't want to be around, it's more than just I don't want to hear them and be around them. They're literally changing your physiological makeup. They're changing your frequencies.
See, so it's not just your mom's advice about stay away from negative people, be positive, it'll make you healthier. It's actual, I mean, she's a doctor, and she's saying it. So, I mean, you know, if you don't believe my mom, you should believe Donese.
No, believe moms. Most of the medicine, these old wives' tale medicine, the old folklore medicine, still some of the best stuff we have.
See there?
Absolutely.
And put your
moms
bed
know
north to
best
south.
Always. That's right.
See there? See, so, okay, Mom, I admit, yes, you are right once
listened,
again.
Right?
Yeah. See, doctor. My mom could be a doctor. Thank you so much, Donese.
You're welcome.
And if you wanted to spend some time with Donese on your own or learn more about bioenergetic medicine, about frequencies to stay away from, people you should stay away from, and ways to quiet yourself, check out the website at the bottom of your screen. Thanks so much, hon.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Let's hear that heartbeat. Check it out.
Thank you for sharing your time with us. And be sure to check us out next week, same time, same channel, Life Dynamix TV, the new science of energetic living.